I know some people don't like his tweets and they think he's crass, and that's why I voted for him.
CBS News spoke to a number of Trump supporters following his racist tweets geared toward progressive congresswomen. They're all women of color, of course, told them to go back to their countries. And so the question is, hey, do these Trump voters condemn Trump? Do they dislike the way he tweets and basically stokes racial tension in the country? And
President Trump refused to back down, in part because he believes his supporters will stand by him. Many that we heard from yesterday do.
I know some people don't like his tweets and they think he's crass, and that's why I voted for him.
It's unfortunate he had to do the way he had to do it. He's doing the only way he can to get this country back.
If you think you have it better or in where you came from or with how they did things there, go back where you came from.
Okay. So, I mean, that last woman, I think, perfectly symbolizes the ignorance that you see among voters, Trump voters specifically. They're from the United States of America. Like, what do you mean? Go back where? Where do you want them to go? Anyway, but this is the reason why you have one member of the GOP after the next defending Trump. Now, are some of them racist themselves? Absolutely. But are they willing to hide their racism if it's a politically popular move to condemn the president? Yes. But it is not politically popular for the GOP at the moment. Trump has emboldened the right-wing electorate to essentially demonstrate who they really are. They love this stuff. They love the racism. I mean, the first woman in that video said, this is the reason why we voted for him.
Yeah, we've been saying that, we knew that.
Yeah.
The Trump voters are racist, oh my goodness. They like his racist tweets. They also like that what he said that he was gonna do, when he got caught on that Access Hollywood tape. They like what he would say about Hillary Clinton. They like what he says about Mexicans. They liked that stuff. Every single time it has helped him.
Right, that's exactly right.
This is not a shocker. Someone said the other day about his tweets, like, see, more people are gonna learn from this. This is not new, nobody's learning this phrase. They're just glad that the president is willing to say what they tell little kids at the grocery store.
Yep.
I guess I will say that I think just as there was a silent majority, right, that Trump liked to talk about in terms of the people who aren't vociferously for him, but ultimately when they went into the voting booth in 2016 did vote for him. I think there is also a silent majority of people who are repentant Trump voters, who are not gonna tell CBS News that they're sorry that they voted for Trump, but that they are going to slip away from what they thought was just sort of showboating. And of course, they threw immigrants and people of color under the bus in order to do that, in order to sort of suspend disbelief around his racism. But I think we're gonna see that there are a lot of people who are disaffecting. I think Ayanna Pressley the other day in the press conference said that actually, as she's going to the airport, she was approached by former Trump voters who were like, I'm so sorry, I kind of thought it was a joke, like, but also there are those people. So I think this is, again, once again, he is dog whistling to the id of America. This is the GOP's last gasp of whiteness. This is their last chance. They were told, unless you diversify this party, your party is on the fritz. You're no more. And so they were like, cool, white nationalism.
So, look, you're definitely way more positive thinking than I am and more optimistic than I am. The Republican Party, and I'm talking about the voters, are no, they're not what you described. 90% of Republican voters approve of what Donald Trump is doing right now. And that's according to the latest Gallup approval rating for Donald Trump, 90%. So maybe 10% of Republican voters aren't racist and they fall under the category that you just described. But the vast majority of them see those tweets, they see the comments that Trump makes, and they love it. And that results in this kind of nonsense from Republican lawmakers.
This tweet that you're just seeing now is clearly going to get, I think, a lot of discussion.
Someone's feeling very comedic today. But the idea that he's hitting them because they're people or women of color is just absurd. I mean, who doesn't Trump hit?
I don't think that these were racist comments, but they were certainly not exactly what you'd call tolerant.
Now, there may be a racial tinge to it. I think it's sort of undeniable considering that these are all women of color. But it's more xenophobic than I think in the racist camp.
I read the whole thing. And my summary, after he said leave, he said, please come back. If anything, it's a challenge. But why quibble with context?
I understand the sentiment the president was expressing, and I have some of the same feeling, frankly. I mean, if she dislikes America this much, why is she here?
If anyone sounded racist over the weekend, it was AOC posse member Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. She thinks that any minority who doesn't think like she does is inauthentic and not even worth having part of the conversation.
They act as if they are more loyal to another entity of some kind.
Why does he think the other three are not from America? It might be his own ignorance. It also might be that all of these women constantly present themselves as foreign. So you have Rashida Tlaib constantly extolling the fact she's the first Muslim, she's the first Palestinian American, the first Somali immigrant, Ilhan Omar, the first this, the first that, whatever. They don't say, I'm an American, I'm all American, baby, I'm apple pie, red, white, and blue. They don't.
So obviously that was a compilation of conservative members of the media, not of lawmakers, but we've shown you various examples of Republican lawmakers. Mitch McConnell is the latest example, who have defended Donald Trump and his racism. McConnell just straight out denies that what Trump said on Twitter was racist.
I don't even know where to start. I feel like we need cliff notes of what we just saw.
I feel like I'm constipated with like a KKK hood. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's what's gonna come out when I go to the bathroom.
Ooh, okay.
I
don't really know how to follow that up.
That wasn't for you. That was for 3 people watching and who liked that comment. I don't like. I think here's what I have to have you all that trash, all the trash. What I will say is this: Ilhan Omar did call out national news, and she probably should have said Fox, but we understood who she meant.
Everybody, I don't think everyone could have done a better job. Everyone, I guess not everyone, but a lot of outlets could have done a better job of covering him while he was running. Yesterday of covering him, a lot of people still making the same similar mistakes. So she's probably good to leave it as very broad because people don't realize what
so many places
being so careful, about how you speak about this man and truthful. And being truthful about him, how if you're not, how that is harmful.
Oh, so exactly, and the death threats that she receives. I will say this, for those people who say that, whether you're on the right or you're on the left, who say that these 4 women are making this issue about their race, no, they're not at all. They are responding to an attack that was explicitly about their race, calling them from another country, or as Ben Shapiro said, is more xenophobic than not. Anyway, but they're rising above those really base comments because actually it behooves the right wing if they only talked about how it was a racist attack. It totally behooves them because the right wing and Fox News and everything, all they can talk about at this point is the socialist, i.e. Medicare for all, free college agenda, which is somehow supposedly horrible. And their viewership is like, yeah, that is horrible. Wait a minute, that sounds good.
No, you make such a good point. You make such a good point because what are you going to attack these women on other than their race, right? The fear mongering about race has been part and parcel of the Republican Party for quite some time now. We all know that. But if you actually try to attack them on their policy proposals, as Hannity made the mistake of doing once. Remember, Hannity had a giant screen behind him that said, look at what AOC wants to do. Free healthcare, free college, all these things that Americans, particularly like middle America, who are really struggling right now with this income and wealth inequality, they would love it. And so, of course, they're gonna go ahead and fearmonger and do the whole boogeyman tactics when it comes to people of color, and it's pathetic.
There was something I wanted to say. Before the video came up, we were talking about like people kind of like pushing away from him or feeling like this goes too far. I feel like most likely that is when he does something that affects you personally. It was like how Meghan McCain, one of the worst things she's ever said about him, she's been horrified by him, and she's been negative about Trump. But when it affected her sister, it was like, I can't even defend the party. I am disgusted. I am, and all the farmers, all of the people who are married to Latin Americans who still voted for him and supported him and then saw their wives and husbands be taken away and deported. Then they are like, oh no, all of the people affected by his tax act.
Right.
That's what happens. You don't see what he said about people who don't look like you and think it doesn't even matter if he's joking. You should be horrified by that. There's nothing that he has done has surprised them. I think like as far as like this bad behavior, what it is that he started to do things that affects them because people realize, and we're seeing it happening even when people who like go on TV to support him, one by one, you get shown that you are not of him.
Right.
You're not rich, you're not, white, you're not, you're not only surrounded by people who are just like him, you're not exempt from it.
Right.
It'll hit you, and it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the future will just be two parties. It'll be like the empathy party and the zero empathy party, and it'll be very clear. Because I think that's pretty much where we're headed. It's like, I don't get if not affect me.
The TYT Plus app is now available on iOS and Android. Download to get more TYT content at tyt.com/app.